Hey everyone, and welcome back to another deep dive. This one's specially designed for Vintage Car Chronicles.
Oh,
You can
cool.
catch us every day on Spotify, Deezer's, Apple Music, and YouTube.
Awesome.
Today we're going to be strapping ourselves in for a thrilling ride through the world of Donkervoort,
Ooh, exciting.
a Dutch manufacturer that's been building ultra-lightweight sports cars for over 4 decades.
I'm intrigued already.
Now, what I find really fascinating about Donkervoort is their unwavering commitment to a philosophy they call no compromise.
Yeah, no compromise. I've heard that it's all about stripping away everything that doesn't contribute to pure driving experience.
So we're not talking about your typical cushy sports car, right?
No, not at all.
These are machines that are all about connecting with the road, feeling every bump and curve.
Exactly. You got to think of it as a visceral, almost primal driving experience.
Okay,
No power steering, no ABS, no traction control.
just the car on the open road.
You got it.
Okay, I'm already intrigued and a little bit terrified if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Now to guide us on this deep dive, we've got a stack of articles and excerpts about Donkervoort's history, their unique models, and their philosophy.
Oh, fantastic.
And we're going to trace their journey from building Lotus 7-inspired kits in a tiny shed to breaking records on the Nürburgring.
That is quite the journey.
It's a story about passion and innovation and a relentless pursuit of lightweight performance.
Oh, love it already.
Now, it all started with a man named Joop Donkervoort.
Ah, the visionary behind it all.
I bet there's a great origin story there.
There is. Even as a young boy, Joop was captivated by the Lotus 7. He'd spend hours sketching it from every angle.
Oh, wow.
You could say that early fascination planted the seed for what would become Donkervoort.
So he was destined to build sports cars.
It seems that way. In 1978, Joop took the leap and launched his company,
Wow.
initially importing Lotus 7 kits.
Okay.
But he wasn't content with just assembling someone else's design. He wanted to create something better, something uniquely Donkervoort.
I can relate to that. Like, just follow when you can lead, right?
Mhm.
But imagine those early days were tough.
They definitely faced challenges. One of the biggest hurdles was getting those kit cars street legal in the Netherlands.
Right.
The regulations were strict, forcing Joop to get creative with his designs and engineering.
So instead of just throwing in the towel, these roadblocks actually push them towards innovation.
Exactly. It's a classic case of necessity breeding invention.
Love it.
They had to find solutions that not only met the regulations, but also enhanced performance. That's how the first Donkervoort S7 was born.
Yes.
While inspired by the Lotus 7, it incorporated significant modifications,
Yeah.
setting them on a path toward creating truly unique automobiles.
From kit cars to creating their own designs, that's a pretty big jump.
It is.
Where did they even build these early cars?
Their first factory was actually a small shed in Tienhoven. Talk about humble beginnings.
That's amazing. A legendary sports car company starting in a shed. It's proof that you don't need fancy facilities to have big dreams. But I guess as the cars gained popularity, they needed more space.
Got it. In 1983, they relocated to a larger production facility in Loosdrecht.
Okay.
That move signaled that Donkervoort was no longer just a hobby. It was a growing business.
Okay, so let's talk about these early models. You mentioned the S7. What came after that?
Well, the S7 was just the beginning. It was followed by the S8, the S8A, and the S8AT. These early models, collectively known as the S series,
Okay.
really established Donkervoort's DNA.
Is that?
Lightweight construction, powerful engines, and a focus on pure driving experience.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
They weren't just tweaking things for the sake of it.
Yeah.
There was a clear philosophy driving their design choices.
Absolutely. And a great example of this is their use of Ford engines.
Yeah, Ford.
They weren't just dropping in any engine, they were carefully selecting power plants that delivered the right balance of power and weight.
Okay.
For example, the introduction of turbocharging in the S8AT significantly boosted power without adding a lot of bulk.
So they were always looking for that edge, that extra bit of performance, but never at the expense of their lightweight philosophy.
Right, they weren't afraid to experiment with new technologies, but every innovation had to serve their core principle of maximizing the power-to-weight ratio.
That makes sense. I mean, if you're all about that raw driving experience, excess weight is the enemy, but how did they evolve beyond those early Ford-powered cars?
Well, that's where the D series comes in.
Okay, the D series.
This marked a significant shift towards a more distinctive Donkervoort identity with models like the D10, the D8 Z-Tech, the D8 Cosworth, and eventually the D8
The
Audi.
D10. I've seen pictures of that one. It's pretty wild. No windshield.
Right.
I bet there's a story behind that.
Oh, there is. The D10 was a special edition built to celebrate Donkervoort's 10th anniversary. It was a minimalist, almost radical design, lightweight, powerful, and completely open to the elements. And it was fast.
It was fast.
It actually set acceleration records at the time.
Wow, a record breaker. It must have been quite a statement. So they were pushing boundaries. But what about that shift to Audi engines you mentioned?
That was a pivotal moment for Donkervoort. It happened in 1999, and it marked the beginning of a long and fruitful partnership.
Wow.
Audi engines offered lighter, more compact powertrains that aligned perfectly with their lightweight performance philosophy.
So it was a match made in automotive heaven. But wasn't it a risk to switch from a well-established partnership with Ford to something new?
It was definitely a bold move, but it paid off. The Audi engines allowed them to achieve even greater performance while staying true to their lightweight principles. Plus, it gave them access to cutting-edge technology and engineering expertise.
And this partnership led to some pretty incredible cars, right? What
Yes.
stands out to you from this era?
The D8 GT is a great example. It was Donkervoort's first closed cabin model,
Oh, wow.
and it really challenged people's perceptions of what a Donkervoort could be. Up until that point, they were known for open-top minimalist designs.
So the D8 GT was a bit of a departure, but did it betray their core values?
Not at all. It still had everything that made a Donkervoort special, the lightweight construction, the powerful engine, that incredible connection with the road. But it offered a slightly more practical and refined package, you could say. It was a way to experience the thrill of a Donkervoort in a different, perhaps more versatile form.
So they were evolving, but not abandoning their roots, in
Yeah.
some sense.
Yeah.
It's like they were saying, hey, we can do more than just open-top roadsters. But then they went on to create the GTO series, which, from what I've read, is a whole different level of performance.
Yeah, the GTO series is where Donkervoort really stepped into the realm of supercar performance models like the D8 D2 or D8 GTO RS, D8 GTO 40, and D8 GTO JD70 all showcase their relentless pursuit of pushing the limits.
And this is where their use of carbon fiber comes in, right? I've heard these cars are incredibly light.
They are. By incorporating carbon fiber expensively, they managed to create cars that weigh less than 700 kilograms.
Wow.
That's lighter than some motorcycles.
That's crazy.
And yet they're packing serious power. The D8 GTO, for instance, can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds.
Hold on, under 3 seconds. That's ridiculous. And I remember reading something about one of the GTO models breaking a cornering record. What was that all about?
That was the D8 GTO JD70. It managed to achieve 2 Gs of lateral acceleration in corners. To put that into perspective, it's like sticking to the road with twice the force of gravity.
What?
Very few road cars can achieve that kind of grip.
Okay, so they're lightweight, they're powerful, they handle like they're on rails. But what about the people behind the wheel? I mean, these cars sound like they demand a certain level of skill and maybe even a bit of bravery.
You're right. Donkervoorts aren't your average everyday cars. They require a different kind of driver, someone who appreciates a more raw and engaging experience.
So no cup holders or lane assist in these bad boys.
Definitely not. Donkervoort is all about purity, about connecting with the machine and the road in a way that modern cars just don't allow.
I'm starting to understand what they mean by no compromise. It's about experiencing driving in its purest form. But that sounds like it could be intimidating even for experienced drivers.
You're not wrong. That's why Donkervoort offers specialized driver training programs.
Oh, wow.
They want to make sure that their owners can handle these cars safely and confidently and truly appreciate what they're capable of.
That's a really cool approach. They're not just selling you a car, they're giving you the skills to master it. It's like a secret society of Donkervoort drivers.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I've heard they even have their own racing series.
They do. It's called the Donkervoort Cup.
Okay, the Donkervoort Cup.
And it gives owners the chance to experience the full potential of their cars on the track. It's a competitive but friendly environment where they can push their limits and share their passion with like-minded enthusiasts.
Okay, this is all starting to sound less like a car company and more like a lifestyle.
It's true. There's a real sense of community among Donkervoort owners.
Yeah.
It's more than just owning a car. It's about being part of something special.
I can see why people are drawn to, that it's refreshing in a world where everything feels mass-produced and impersonal.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next chapter in Donkervoort's story, the F-22.
Okay, the F-22.
This is where we see the company entering a new era with Joop's son, Dennis Donkervoort, at the helm.
Passing the torch to the next generation, it's always interesting to see how a company evolves under new leadership.
And in this case, Dennis has definitely made his mark. The F-22 was an immediate success. They actually sold out the entire initial production run based on sketches alone.
Wow, that's some serious confidence in the Donkervoort name.
People knew that Dennis wouldn't stray from the core values that made Donkervoort special, and the F-22 delivers on that promise. It's still all about lightweight construction, powerful engines, and that raw, unfiltered driving experience, but it also introduces some exciting new elements.
Like what? Fill me in.
Well, for starters, there's the innovative removable carbon fiber twin targa roof.
Okay, I'm going to need you to break that down for me. What exactly is a twin targa roof?
Think of it as a roof that's split into two removable panels,
Okay.
giving you the option of open-top driving or a closed cabin. It's the best of both worlds.
So it's like a convertible, but more stylish and engineered.
Exactly. And speaking of engineering, the F-22 packs a punch.
Okay.
It boasts a 500 horsepower engine, and thanks to its lightweight construction, it weighs under 750 kilograms. It delivers an absolutely mind-blowing power-to-weight ratio.
Okay. That's a lot to process.
Okay.
They've gone from a shed in the Netherlands to building supercar-level machines. That's quite a journey. But where does that leave them in today's automotive landscape?
Donkervoort occupies a very unique niche. They're not trying to be everything to everyone. They're focused on creating cars for a very specific type of driver.
Okay.
Someone who values purity performance and that connection with the machine that's becoming increasingly rare in the age of autonomous driving and electronic nannies.
So it's almost like they're preserving a certain kind of driving experience, something that's in danger of being lost.
You could say that they're a reminder that driving can be more than just transportation. It can be an art form, a passion, an adventure.
I like that. All right, we were talking about Donkervoort's legacy. What do you think they'll be remembered for?
Well, I think Donkervoort will be remembered for their unwavering dedication to a singular vision, creating the ultimate driver's car. They haven't wavered from that pursuit for over 40 years, and they've done so with a level of passion and dedication that's truly inspiring.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the technical specs and the performance figures, but it sounds like there's a deeper story here. It's about more than just building fast cars.
Exactly. It's about craftsmanship, about attention to detail, about creating a machine that's more than the sum of its parts. Each Donkervoort is hand-built, and there's a real sense of pride and artistry that goes into every single car.
That's what I love about these deep dives. We uncover those hidden layers, the stories behind the brands. So they've got this incredible legacy of craftsmanship. But what about their impact on the wider automotive world?
Well, Donkervoort has carved out a unique niche for themselves. They've shown that there's still a market for cars that prioritize the driving experience above all else in a world where everything is becoming increasingly automated and digitized. They're a refreshing reminder that driving can be a visceral, engaging, and rewarding experience.
It's like they're swimming against the current. But in a good way, they're not afraid to be different, to stick to their principles, even if it means going against the grain.
Exactly, and that's what makes them so appealing to a certain type of driver. Donkervoort owners are a special breed. They're not interested in being pampered or coddled. They want to be challenged, to be engaged, to be connected to the machine and the road in a way that few other cars can offer.
You know, we've been talking a lot about this no-compromise philosophy, but I'd love to hear some concrete examples of how that actually translates into their design and engineering choices.
Okay, well, for starters, let's talk about weight. Donkervoort is obsessed with keeping their cars as light as possible. They use lightweight materials like carbon fiber extensively, and they strip away everything that's not absolutely essential. You won't find any fancy infotainment systems, heated seats, or power adjustable anything in a Donkervoort.
So it's all about getting back to basics, focusing on the essentials of driving.
Precisely. And that extends to the driving experience itself. Donkervoorts are raw, visceral machines. They don't have power steering or ABS, so you have to be fully engaged, fully present in the moment. It's a demanding driving experience, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
It sounds almost like a form of meditation, like a way to connect with something deeper than just getting from point A to point B.
There's definitely a spiritual element to it. It's about being in the moment, feeling the car, responding to your every input, experiencing the road in all its raw glory.
I'm starting to get it's about stripping away all the distractions, all the modern conveniences, and getting back to the essence of what it means to drive. But isn't that a bit extreme for the average driver?
Perhaps Donkervoorts aren't for everyone, but for those who crave that pure, unfiltered driving experience, there's nothing quite like it.
Okay, so they've stayed true to their roots, they've built a loyal following, they've even expanded into new markets. But what about the future? What challenges do you think they'll face in the coming years?
Well, one of the biggest challenges will be navigating the changing automotive landscape. The industry is moving towards electrification, automation, and connectivity at a rapid pace. How will a company like Donkervoort, which is all about analog purity and driver engagement, adapt to these trends?
That's a great question. Will they be able to maintain their unique identity in a world where cars are becoming increasingly homogeneous?
It's going to be interesting to see how they evolve. They've already shown a willingness to innovate while staying true to their core values. The
Okay.
F-22, for example, incorporates modern technologies like a digital dashboard and a sophisticated traction control system, but it does so in a way that enhances the driving experience rather than detracting from it.
So it's about finding that balance between embracing the future and preserving their heritage.
Exactly. They'll need to find ways to stay relevant and appealing to a new generation of drivers without compromising the qualities that make them unique.
We've talked about their cars, their philosophy, their legacy, but I'm curious to hear more about the people who buy Donkervoorts, who are these drivers. What motivates them?
Well, Donkervoort owners are a diverse group, but they tend to share a few key traits. They're passionate about driving, they appreciate craftsmanship, and they're not afraid to be different. They're often successful individuals who could easily afford any car on the market, but they choose a Donkervoort because it offers something that other cars can't, that raw, unfiltered connection with the road.
So it's a statement in a way. It's about saying, I'm not interested in following the crowd. I want something unique, something special, something that reflects my own values and passions.
Exactly. Owning a Donkervoort is a way of expressing yourself, of standing out from the crowd.
I'm starting to think that a Donkervoort is more than just a car. It's an extension of the driver's personality, a
Right.
reflection of their individuality.
That's a great way to put it. It's a car that makes a statement about who you are and what you believe in.
Okay, so they've got this amazing legacy. They've built a loyal following. They've even carved out a niche for themselves in a rapidly changing industry. But what about their global reach? They're a Dutch company, but are they reaching drivers beyond the Netherlands?
They are. Donkervoort has been strategically expanding their reach, bringing the Donkervoort experience to new markets. They've established dealerships in several European countries, and they've even recently made a push into the United States.
Wow, the U.S., that's a big step. I wonder what the reception has been like so far. American drivers are used to a certain level of comfort and convenience. Do you think they're ready for the raw, unfiltered experience of a Donkervoort?
Well, it's definitely a different market, but I think there's a growing segment of American drivers who are looking for something different, something that offers a more engaging and visceral driving experience. They're tired of numb steering, numb brakes, numb cars. They want to feel the road. They want to be challenged. They want to be connected to the machine.
It's like stepping back in time to an era when driving was more about the connection between the driver and the machine, less about technology and distractions.
Exactly. And in a world where everything is becoming increasingly automated and sanitized, Donkervoort offers a refreshing alternative, a way to reconnect with the pure joy of driving.
It's funny, we started this deep dive talking about Donkervoort's legacy, and now we're back to talking about the driving experience. It seems like everything they do, from their design choices to their global expansion, is all in service of that one core principle, creating the ultimate driver's car.
Absolutely, and I think that's what will ultimately define their legacy. They're not just building cars, they're building experiences. They're creating a community of passionate drivers who share their love for the art of driving.
It's inspiring, really. It shows that passion and dedication can still prevail, even in an industry that's often driven by profits and market share. But there's one more crucial aspect we need to address before wrapping up this deep dive.
You're talking about their impact, right? What mark has Donkervoort made on the automotive world?
Exactly. It's one thing to build great cars, but it's another thing entirely to leave a lasting mark on an industry as competitive and dynamic as the automotive world.
So as we look back at Donkervoort's journey, what do you think they'll be remembered for? What impact have they had?
It's a question that requires us to look beyond the cars themselves, to look at the philosophy of the community, the unwavering commitment to a vision. And that's something we'll delve into further in the final part of our Donkervoort deep dive.
All right, we were discussing Donkervoort's impact on the automotive world. It's one thing to build great cars, but what lasting mark have they left on the industry?
That's a great question, and I think it requires us to look beyond just the cars themselves.
Yeah.
We need to consider their philosophy, the community they built, and their unwavering commitment to a vision.
It strikes me that Donkervoort has achieved something truly rare in the automotive world. They've managed to stay small, independent, and fiercely committed to their core principles while still achieving global recognition and a devoted following. That's exactly right. They haven't compromised their vision for the sake of mass appeal or mainstream success. They've stayed true to what they believe in, and that authenticity resonates with people.
It's a reminder that you don't need to be a giant corporation to make a meaningful impact. Sometimes it's the small, passionate companies that really push the boundaries and challenge the status quo.
Absolutely. Donkervoort has shown that there's still room for individuality and craftsmanship in an industry that's increasingly dominated by technology and mass production. They've proven that there's a market for cars that are built for passion, not just practicality.
And they've done so without sacrificing performance. I mean, these are seriously fast cars. They broke out, right? They back it up.
That's important. They haven't taken the easy route. They could have built comfortable cruisers with all the bells and whistles, but they chose to stay true to their roots, to build cars that challenge the driver, that demand skill and attention.
And that commitment to the driving experience has created a community, a tribe of Donkervoort enthusiasts who share that passion, that appreciation for the purity of driving.
Exactly. It's not just about the cars, it's about the people who drive them. The shared experiences, the camaraderie Donkervoort has fostered that sense of community through events like the Donkervoort Cup, their driver training programs, and their overall approach to customer engagement.
You know, one of the things that's really impressed me during this deep dive is Donkervoort's willingness to innovate. They haven't rested on their laurels. They're constantly pushing the boundaries, experimenting with new materials and technologies, all while staying true to their core principles.
Their use of carbon fiber is a great example. They were one of the first companies to really embrace carbon fiber in their road cars, and they've continued to push the limits of lightweight construction. And then there's the F-22, which incorporates some really innovative features like the removable twin targa roof and a sophisticated traction control system, but it does so in a way that enhances the driving experience rather than detracting from it.
It's that balance that I find so impressive. They're not afraid to embrace the future, but they do so on their own terms without compromising their core values.
It's a delicate balancing act, but they seem to be pulling it off. And I think that's what will ultimately define their legacy, their ability to adapt, to evolve, to stay relevant while remaining true to themselves.
And perhaps that's the most important lesson we can take away from Donkervoort's story, that success isn't just about building great products. It's about staying true to your vision, fostering a strong community, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Well said.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating world of Donkervoort.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us on this one, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for another deep dive into automotive history here on Vintage Car Chronicles. You can find us every day on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, and YouTube.
See you then.
Until then, happy motoring.